Welcome everyone to the Traver Gallery once again, and we have a very special guest here with us visiting from Denmark. This is Tobias Møhl, and Tobias probably had his first show with us here, I think about 20 years ago.
20 years ago exactly, actually.
Yeah. So you were a much younger man then.
I was 20 years younger.
Yeah. But so we're very happy to have him back here in the gallery once again. Tobias, when did you first start working with glass?
I started working with glass when I was 17 years old.
Wow.
I tried it before when I was about 16 years old, or 15 years old even. I took in school, in the Danish school, there's always a week where you have to visit someone, usually a parent of your school friends,
right,
and to try to work their job. And I found a glass studio in the north of Denmark, and I went there for 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really good experience. So I was thinking, this is maybe something for me in my life to do. Yeah.
So that was when you first worked with glass.
That's when I first tried it, and this gentleman suggested that I would go to a factory and get an apprenticeship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what I did.
And was that in Denmark as well?
That was in Denmark. That was at the Holmegaard Glass Factory, a part of Royal Copenhagen.
Okay.
And I basically just called the last week of my holiday before going to then high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I met some gentleman there on the phone who said, yeah, well, that's actually really good. You should come and you should start next week.
Mm.
And then I thought, okay, I'll try.
Wow. So then you were hooked.
Then I was hooked, and then it was really fun.
Wow!
Not everything in the factory is fun, but I have never doubted that I was on the right track since I started.
And as you all know, we here at the gallery represent Lino Tagliapietra, who is considered one of the great master glass blowers in the world. I think would be considered to be, and you worked with Lino.
Yeah,
early on.
Yeah, quite early on. I met Lino in Abeltoft. I worked at the Abeltoft Glass Museum, and Lino had a show there. And this is maybe 23 years ago now.
Okay.
And I was a young glass blower working at the museum's hot shop. And Lino came by, and I worked with him for a week in Abeltoft, and we became friends. And he suggested that I went to Pilchuck. And so I applied for, Lino was teaching with his brother-in-law, Keko Ungaro, the same summer. And so I went, I think that was 93 or 94 at Pilchuck. And I attended that class. And so that was my first sort of experience with Venetian glass blowing.
And that's when we were first told about Tobias and his work, and he was actually, was Lino who said I should check out your work.
Yeah.
And, but because he was very impressed with what you were doing. So that's what we did, and came to arrange for a show. And that would have, what, 2004?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. 2004, here in this gallery. And it was in particular this room, which many of our glass artists really covet this space, which is basically based on the golden mean, the golden rectangle, the proportions. And of course it's windowless, so we can control the light and have a great atmosphere. And of course, Tobias works with light and glass. Yeah. So as you'll see in this exhibition, how he incorporates these light boxes with his work. Shall we walk in?
Let's do that.
Oh, and also, this is something new up here that I haven't seen before.
No, this is new. I mean, I've been working with patterns and lights for many years. And doing light fixtures or lamps has been something I wanted to try for many years.
Okay.
And so this
year, it could
actually,
fit better in this space. I think we're going to have to keep it here forever. I don't think we want to sell it. Makes for a great entrance into the gallery, or anyone's beautiful home could work as well. So hopefully somebody will find a home for it. So let's go on in the gallery.
Yes.
Well, why don't we start off with these individual objects first.
Yeah.
You can tell us a little bit about this work.
Well, this comes from the series I've worked with actually for many years now. I call it Glass Weaver, and it's technically it is a Latticino cane, or filigrano cane, that I first pull and then chop up in centimeter long pieces and lay out as a mosaic. Mm-hmm. And then later it is heated up on the pastorelli and rolled up. And
so it's a series of steps that you take.
Yes, when I first, for many years I was practicing glass blowing and learning about all the different Venetian techniques, and that was a big challenge to try to learn the technique, but it was also a big challenge to figure out how to use it or how to find my own language.
Right.
And actually, the chopping up the cane was one of my first things I did, really, to sort of break away from the Venetian look.
The more traditional Venetian.
Yes, and then simply by breaking it up and making new patterns out of it.
So it's like kind of like a painter who finds his own way of painting on the canvas. You use these old, very traditional techniques to create something new.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah.
And it started being mostly just black and white and more graphic. And then lately I've been using more color and been playing with that.
So in this particular case, the scale of the work really makes it approach more sculptural.
Exactly. There is something about a bowl, when it reaches a certain size, it appears more like a sculptural.
Right, rather than a functional item.
Yeah.
So this is one variation, and over here we have another variation.
Yes.
On a similar theme.
Similar theme. One of the nice things about these pieces is once you use colors in different canes, all the colors in the cane have different melting temperatures. So that means once you start blowing up the work or the piece, the glass will stretch differently, and that's is what is creating quite an interesting optical effect. You can see the shadows here shows that there's a very big difference of thickness in the actual work, and I like that. It's one of the qualities.
I remember a while back we were giving Bertil Wallin, a Swedish glass artist, show, and he comment in his catalog was, the last comment in his catalog was, glass eats light. So, and you can see that in this work. Yeah. It really plays with the light.
Yeah.
So now moving from that to one of your light boxes.
Yes.
Here we can see where light is playing a very important role.
Absolutely. So this is a series that I worked with for some years now, called Black Net or Black Twill, and it is using a very special black color. Actually, there's not such a thing as black glass. There's either a very dark purple or very dark green. But in this case, it's a special brown black color that, when put over white glass, where those two colors meet, it becomes black with a tendency going towards brown. So it's a very beautiful color. Lino gave me a little piece of it many years ago, and I started this series back then.
Gorgeous.
And where many of my other patterns are maybe more stylistic, in this series I've always looked for, I think of these as maybe leaves, or there's something organic about them that I look for. I would like the patterns to look like something that could keep growing somehow.
And also you add this other dimension where you're stepping pieces back and pieces forward and overlapping the work, so it becomes a very narrative kind of thing.
Yeah, it takes me a long time to compose something like this. I will have to make several vessels and have many vessels to choose from.
So you'll
spend a lot of time composing the piece and seeing how they interact with each other.
So in this case, how it builds and falls.
Yeah.
Really.
Both pattern, shape, the color.
All those variations.
Yes. Yeah.
Amazing.
And it's it's work like this is something you couldn't. I'm not sketching much. It's really all about trying to keep my eyes open when I blow glass, and looking for small details that if I cultivate them, could become interesting.
Well, this is a very interesting. This is not hollow. This is actually a piece of glass.
Yeah.
So although it appears that this is open here.
Yeah, you would think there's a hole in it. Actually, there isn't.
But it's not at all. No. And then, of course, the bases are all this, make for a nice solid ground.
Yes. It's here's this detail here, for instance. This right here is something I discovered. And this is something I'll be making more of. And that's a typical example of something I saw, actually something went wrong probably, or something I trimmed away. And then I realized when I chopped that up, and I can actually use this. And that's how they keep developing. I keep finding new patterns like that.
Wow. And then there's this other variation of your work, which I'm very familiar with from the past as well.
Exactly. I made that. I think I have shown this series of work or this idea with the pointed balls on maybe my first show.
Right. I recall those.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about them lately, and I thought it would be fun to make them again. I have so many new patterns now, and so I thought they deserve a new chance.
Yeah, and so as you can see here in the video, these are pointed pieces that have rest on these little prongs that hold it up upright.
Yeah.
I'll let Tobias.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something very elegant about the fact that they can't stand. I think I like that they are thin, fragile shells, and I think that is being emphasized with these stands that they need to have.
Very beautiful.
Thank you.
And then there's this very large series of white pieces here on this white. I might point out too that because of the varying environments this might find itself, you've very conveniently placed a rheostat on the piece so that you can adjust the lighting level.
Yeah, you will. I mean, if you're in a dark room, you need to dim it down so it doesn't shine. But if there's daylight in the room, then you can turn up the lights a little bit. And this is a series as well. It's basically all the tricks I have, or it's a lot of different techniques. There's something about them. I put them up in 3 layers. And I just love to see all these patterns together. I like to be able to, this is a piece you can look at for quite a while, and you will keep being able to find new patterns. Maybe something you haven't seen before.
I don't think I'd ever tire of looking at it. It's just forever moving from one to the other. Gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you.
And this, of course, this whole box could be placed in a wall or hung like we have it here, off a wall.
Yeah. I mean, you can also light this in a different way.
Right.
So they could be taken out of the light box if you wanted to and lit differently. But it's important that they have lights and lights coming from behind to really see the patterns correctly. Yeah.
And then there's this piece, which is a very different shape.
Yes, that's new for me. Most of my shapes has always been archetypic shapes, bowl, plates, vessel. And actually the black twill collection, I look at them more and more like leaves or feathers. And then I've had the idea that I would try to make leaves.
Yeah.
So these are not blown work. This is solid pieces of glass that are pulled out. So first I make a huge bowl that has the pattern, and then I fill that up with clear glass, and then that is shaped and pulled out.
So these are solid?
These are solid, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I assumed they were blown, but no, they're solid.
No, but the pattern, to create the pattern, I have to blow.
Mm-hmm.
So I make a bowl that has all the patterning, and then that's filled up with clear glass.
Got it.
Yeah.
Beautifully
So
mounted too on this base.
Yeah. Yeah, the finish is of course important.
Mm-hmm. Very, very nice.
But it's the only work I do that is not a vessel or a bowl or a plate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's new for me in that sense.
And then we have this piece, which is unlike the black or the white, this is multicolored, but similar shapes, different patterns.
Well, the colors, you know, it's a completely different thing than working in white and black.
Right.
All of a sudden, there's a lot more things to worry about. But I always had that thing. I love pink and red glass for some reason. And so this is multiple layer of cane, color and white. So many of them are actually two vessels that are blown into each other to create a layer of patterns. And again, this is a collection that comes from a bigger production. I need to have a lot to choose from to find a series like this that is balanced.
And you show in Europe a lot?
Not a lot. I have a quite limited production. But I show in Europe, of course. I show with the Adorned Gallery. I show at the TEFAF show in Maastricht. You know, I have 3 or 4 shows a year maximum. So,
and I know in the past you've shown a lot in New York.
I show with the Heller Gallery in New York that are unfortunately closed now.
Right.
But I'm very happy to be back here.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you.
You were the first gallery in the States that gave me a show. And
we're delighted
I was
to have
proud
you.
then, and I'm proud now
Yeah.
to show here.
And in the center of the gallery, we have some very different pieces that are down low and...
Yeah, these are new. In fact, this one came with me on my lap in the plane. That's how new it is.
Wow.
And
these shadows play a big role in the pieces too, the way they transmit the pattern onto the pedestal.
Yeah. So these are big bubbles that are actually cut through cold and then shaped with diamond tool and polished up to shiny the look.
Wow.
It's a big job. But there is, you know, out of this, it opens up possibilities to make shapes that would be difficult if you were making a spun out plate, as you would usually do it.
This looks like really something right from nature.
Yeah.
Something like that you would find on a beach or something. Exactly. Shell.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
So that pretty much makes up the exhibition here that we have here now. We're really, really delighted to have it here. And the show will be up for a month, through the month of October. And yeah, you're welcome to come and see it. I think you'll really enjoy it firsthand, up close. It really takes on a different look than it does on camera. So yeah, it's a must-see show. So thank you very much, Tobias.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. And thank you. Hopefully you can make it in.